Archie Jackson was born in the Scottish town of Rutherglen, near the city of Glasgow, on the 5th of September 1909. 4 years later, his family emigrated to Australia, taking up residence in a terrace house in Ferdinand Street in the working-class Sydney suburb of Balmain. Archie was the eldest of 3 siblings, with another little sister born after the family's arrival in Australia. The Jackson residence was a short distance away from Birchgrove Oval, the site of the first rugby league game in Australia and the home of the Balmain District Cricket Club. Archie developed a love of cricket, batting in particular, and honed his craft on Birchgrove Oval during endless summer afternoons. During the 1920-21 Ashes series, he wagged school with his best mate Bill Hunt, hitching rides on hearses and meat wagons across town to the Sydney cricket ground, using their lunch money to gain entry. Also attending this test match was a young Don Bradman, where he said to his father, "I shall never be satisfied until I play on this ground." Joining the Balmain club at the age of 15, club captain and test cricketer Arthur Maley noticed that young Jackson had a talent as a batsman with rare timing and a variety of stylish and technically correct strokes. At 15 years and 31 days, Archie Jackson became one of the youngest players to debut in Sydney grade cricket's first grade competition, and at the age of 16 and a half became the youngest batsman to score a century, a record to this day, and the first of 6 centuries he would go on to make before his 18th birthday. 2 grade centuries at the start of the 1926-27 season saw Jackson selected for his first-class debut for New South Wales at the age of only 17. And in addition to receiving a baggy blue cap, he would become a friend and protege of state captain Alan Kippax, who would offer him a job in his Sydney sports store. Emulating much of his batting style on Kippax, who was a student of master batsman Victor Trumper, Jackson's elegance and timing evoked for many cricket lovers the beauty of the game's golden age. He cut an unmistakable figure on the field, with his immaculately pressed whites, his trademarked popped collar, his sleeves folded just past the wrist, and his grip high on the bat handle. With an ageing and out-of-form Australian cricket team struggling in the 1928-29 home Ashes series, Jackson was selected to represent his country alongside his young contemporary Don Bradman, who had been recalled for his second test in the 4th test at the Adelaide Oval. Opening the batting in Australia's first innings, Jackson lost 3 partners for only 19 runs until Australian captain Jack Ryder came to the crease and stabilised the innings, the pair sharing in a century partnership. Batting with Bradman after Ryder's dismissal, Jackson had reached the nervous 90s and was facing the fastest bowler in the world, Harold Larwood, when he brought up his maiden test century with a blinding cover drive that rebounded off the pickets in front of the members' stand. At 19, the youngest Australian batsman to make a test century, a record which would last for 2 decades until beaten by Neil Harvey in 1948, but still the youngest on debut. Upon reaching his 100, Jackson's grace and precision turned into full-on aggression as he launched into the English attack until on 164 he fell leg before wicket to Jack White.
This is Archie Jackson, the youngster, you know.
Yes.
Made a century in his first test against us in Australia.
Oh, yes. I like his style very much.
Yes, he's playing very cautiously. It's his first time on an English wicket.
Oh, yes. That's a lovely stroke.
Jackson was selected for the 1930 tour to England, playing in the final test at the Oval, which became famous as the match where a chink was detected in the seemingly immortal Don Bradman's armour, with both Bradman and Jackson getting peppered with bounces by Harold Larwood on a spiteful wicket. Jackson scoring 73 in the onslaught. Archie had grown into a fine young man that his family was proud of. Upright in morals, a non-drinker and a non-smoker. With a steady career and a lock-in position in the Australian cricket team, the world was his oyster. During a previous journey to Brisbane for the Sheffield Shield, he had met a girl named Phyllis Thomas, inviting her to watch him play Queensland on his next trip to the city. It would be the 6th of November, 1931, and Phyllis would be waiting in the stands at the Gabba, but Archie would not make it out onto the field of play that day. After experiencing ill health in the lead up to the match, Jackson started vomiting blood and collapsed onto the dressing room floor in front of shocked teammates. He was rushed to a local hospital for treatment. Archie Jackson was later diagnosed with pulmonary tuberculosis, a bacterial infection of the lungs, a disease for at that time there was no cure. Attempting to escape the smog of Sydney, Jackson spent time in health sanatoriums in the New South Wales Blue Mountains and in the city of Adelaide, until eventually moving to Brisbane to be closer to his now girlfriend, Phyllis. In the season of 1932-33, Jackson attempted to resurrect his cricket career by playing Brisbane club cricket. Manufacturers even printed a card anticipating his transfer into the Queensland cricket team that season. But in that Bodyline summer, the man who may have been able to fight back against the English tactics slipped into further decline. Admitted to hospital in February 1933 after collapsing during a club cricket match, Jackson became engaged to Phyllis Thomas on his sickbed, in the full knowledge that he would probably not recover. Jackson was joined at his hospital bedside by his family and best friend Bill Hunt, and with the 4th Bodyline Test being played at Brisbane's Gabba ground, he was visited by players and administrators from both Australian and English teams. Early on the morning of the final day of the test, with victory in sight for England, Archie Jackson lost his battle with tuberculosis, dying at the age of only 23. In a sad irony, Jackson would join his former teammates for one final journey, his coffin transported on the same train as the Australian cricket team back to Sydney. On Saturday, the 18th of February 1933, Archie Jackson was laid to rest at Sydney's Field of Mars Cemetery, with thousands in attendance to mourn his passing. His pallbearers consisted of the Australian batting lineup: Bill Woodfull, Bill Ponsford, Victor Richardson, Bert Oldfield, Alan Kippax, and Don Bradman. Jackson's state captain, employer, mentor and friend, Alan Kippax, paid the following tribute. In the passing of Archie Jackson, the cricket world has lost one of its brightest jewels. His ability as a player and his lovable personality endeared him to all. The players have lost a friend, loyal and modest, and a great player always for his side. He has gone from us in the flesh, but his memory will be honoured and remembered forever. Australian Test captain Bill Woodfull said, "Archie's powers with the bat were those of a finished artist, his stroke play superb. Above all, he had those fighting qualities which go so far in the make-up of a cricketer. His final battle was typical of such qualities. We have lost a great player. A star is missing from the ranks, but we can picture him on greener fields, playing a greater game than cricket. Au revoir, Archie. Your comrades will meet you again." The first in his immediate family to pass away, his parents and sister Peggy would be buried alongside him in later years. His best mate, Bill Hunt, who went on to play one test for Australia himself, would tend to Jackson's grave throughout his life until he passed away in 1983 at the age of 75. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.